Episode 240, Showing Up for People in Hard Times, with Susan Achziger.
Welcome to Latter-day Life Coaches, the podcast where each episode is a conversation between me, Heather Rackham, and one of my amazing coach colleagues. Each coach here is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and a highly trained, experienced life coach making a great impact in the lives of their clients. And together, we have one main goal, helping you live your best life no matter what. You ready for this conversation with the coach? Here we go.
How do you show up for someone in the middle of their hardest moments, especially when you don't know what to say? In this heartfelt episode, Coach Susan Achziger joins Heather to talk about the sacred work of ministering to people who are hurting. Susan shares her personal experiences navigating her son's addiction, mental health struggles, and deep loss, and the profound lessons she learned about presence, compassion, and supporting others without judgment. Together, they explore why silence can be powerful, how to avoid unintentionally hurtful comments, and why the Savior's example of weeping with, rather than fixing for, is the model we need. This episode will leave you feeling more confident and more Christlike in how you minister. Please enjoy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Whether you're joining us on the day this releases or later on, we are glad you are here. I am joined today by Coach Susan Achziger. Hello, Susan. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad you're here. Susan's been on with me before. Since the last time she's been on, she's moved and is closer in proximity to me as far as location goes. Like we've been able to meet for lunch. So it's fun to, even though we're doing this by Zoom, we're still pretty close. So
We're neighbors now. Yeah.
Susan, can you give us a little bit of an introduction and then we'll get started with what we have in store for them today.
Sure. So I'm Susan Achziger. My company's name is Love Your Life Coaching, but if you want to get in touch with me, it's Susan A Coaching because of the last name. Nobody can say it right or spell it right. So I just put the initial. So it's SusanACoaching.com. So that's how you can get in touch with me. And anyway, I love coaching. I love Heather. I love all of the things coaching. And I work mostly I do general life coaching, but I work mostly with parents of addicts. So I have a heart for that because I had a child who was an addict for a long time. So anyway, that's me.
Awesome. Thank you. And I think knowing who Susan has a love for working with, although she says she works, generally with anybody, that is going to lead really well into what we're going to talk about today. And I'm sure you lived a life of having difficult or people like not even knowing how to have a conversation with you around your son's struggles and then your own struggles consequently because of that. And so today we're going to talk about having conversations, how to minister to people in difficult circumstances and how we can just support them in ways that we might not have considered. I think a lot of us are afraid. Like I'm thinking of me in these situations, and we'll talk and maybe we'll be a little bit more specific about what those situations might be. I mean, obviously it's different for everybody, but I always am like, what if I say the wrong thing? Right. So you just you don't even say anything before the conversation even starts because you're afraid of saying the wrong thing. So anyway, I'm looking forward to learning from you today, Susan.
Yeah. Well, that's really common. People think, well, I don't know what to say, but you don't really have to say anything because if you go into it thinking, well, I have to say something to make them feel better, that's not your job.
Yeah, that's true.
Your job is just to be present with them because it helps to not have to feel so alone when you're going through really hard things. Your presence is all that's required, right? It doesn't, I think sometimes people think they have to fix it for them or they have to give them advice. And unsolicited advice is not a good thing. Right.
No, it's not.
It's just
So,
not at any time, but especially when you're going through hard things, because then it comes off almost as being, oh, I don't know, how would I say it? If it's unsolicited, it might feel like judgment,
mhm,
and that they think that you're not capable of handling it. And you might not feel capable of handling it, but when they say it, it makes it worse, right?
mhm,
So you might say, are you open to some suggestions? And if they say, not really, then just back off, if you like feel compelled to give them some advice. But
yeah,
let them lead the way. That's the
yeah,
best thing to do. And just if you just show up with compassion and presence, that's all you need. You don't have to figure out what to say or how to fix it. Or you want to, like, really, you're not there to save them. They have a savior.
yeah, yeah. You just
And
must.
you're just there as his hands. But that doesn't mean you're the one saving them.
Mhm.
Right.
So true. Okay, so let's start like at the beginning. Like, what even prompted you to want to have this conversation and talk about this today?
I think it was after the move here.
Hmm.
I mean, I've thought about it a lot in the past when I was going through it. I thought a lot about it. And it's always kind of been on my heart and on my mind. But I started watching the new people that I didn't know, and I was getting to know them. And I started thinking, these people are such good people. They're trying so hard to help and to like minister, but they don't know what to do, or they feel awkward about it. And if they just understood, it's so simple, right?
Hmm.
It's so simple, but it is hard, if that makes sense. Kind of like the gospel sometimes. It's simple, but it's not easy, right?
Hmm.
It's easy if you just show up with love and compassion. If you really feel that for that person, then it's easy. And with a prayer in your heart that the Spirit will guide you to know what to do or what to say. I mean, that's all it is.
Hmm.
And we don't always know how impactful something can be. I can give you this example. When I was a professor at the college, there was a young woman who was going into the college for her last day of classes, as she saw it, because she was planning on killing herself that night. She wanted to end her life. But as she walked into the classroom building, there was someone who walked by and smiled at her and said hi. And she told me later that person saved her life because she felt seen. So she decided to keep going for a little bit longer. And so he never knew that he'd done that. We don't always
Yeah.
know just the little things. We don't think we're making a difference, but if we show up in life with love and the spirit and all those things, and we just look at people like brothers and sisters, we can make
Yeah.
an impact.
The impact we can have. So before we push record this afternoon, as Susan and I are having this conversation, you shared with me something that I think was is good for us to hear. The part about, we kind of know what to do in difficult circumstances, in like if someone has passed away, right? Like, so maybe share that with us. Like we kind of know what to do there, but it's these other areas in life that we kind of seem to shy away from. So I would love for you to kind of share a little bit about that, like how you shared that we
Yeah.
have that part down.
Yeah, we're comfortable with death because we kind of have a pattern in the church of how to deal with it. You know,
Mhm.
we show up with food, cards, flowers, plants. We help with, there's certain things if you're local, and sometimes the Relief Society will help like prepare the body if they're gonna, be buried. We usually have like a luncheon or something after the funeral. Those are just the kind of like we go into death mode, you
Mhm.
know,
And
and
the conversations that are proper around that, right? We kind of know a
Yeah.
little bit how to handle that.
Although some of those conversations can hurt too.
Yes.
Like, because there's things that we say that we think are good, like, oh, he's in a better place now, or at peace now. Well, yeah, I think we understand those as members of the church, that they are in a good place and they are probably feeling peace. And especially if it was a prolonged, long illness or something, they're out of pain. And the loved ones, I think, feel gratitude for that, but they're also in the midst of grief.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes those simple platitudes can like land wrong.
Yeah. Do you have, like, what would you suggest? What would be, because people even just want to say something. Do you have, like, instead of they're in a better place, what, do you have any thoughts on what that would look like?
Well, for me, I'll tell you what worked for me when my son died.
Mm-hmm.
My ministering sister, what a beautiful soul she was. She saved me. She did. And she just decided, I'm going to, sorry, I'm going to be the front person, the front line for all the people calling you. So I'm going to put the word out that if they have anything they want to do for you, they need to go through me, and I will schedule it so that you only have one meal coming in at a time. And she even included my friends at the college where I worked. So everybody went through her, and I didn't have to field those calls. I didn't have to deal with the awkwardness of the things that people didn't know what to say, but they were showing up trying to help. And I just allowed them to serve through her. And she just kind of managed all of that.
Mm,
And it was the most beautiful gift I could have been given.
yeah, that is sweet.
Because I was a
Okay.
mess that whole week. Like I would think, oh, I have to tell someone about this, about the funeral. I have to text someone about this. And by the time I had the thought and picked up my phone, which was in my hand or my lap, it was gone. I couldn't even remember what I was going to say or do or who I was trying to talk to. I was kind of a mess, right? So yeah, just having someone take care of that so that I didn't have to do that and I could just focus. That was a huge gift for me.
Mhm. Okay, so that is a conversation or relationships or ministering in a situation where somebody has passed away, right? Like you said, like we kind of know what that looks like because that's something that most people have dealt with. And but then there are other things that not everybody has dealt with. So then we don't always know what to say or how to handle it, right? Like you said, there's addiction, there's mental health struggles, I mean, the list goes on of people either themselves or their loved ones. And it gets tricky for people to know.
Yeah. I guess my biggest advice is remember what the Savior did. I mean, even when you look at how he acted with Lazarus when he got there and he'd already died,
Mhm.
and his sisters, Mary and Martha, they were beside themselves with grief and said, "If only you had been here." And he didn't say, "Oh, it's going to be okay. I'm going to take care of it." What did he do? He wept with them,
Yeah.
right? Just having someone grieve with you or sit there and feel with you is comforting, right? It doesn't have to be a big thing. You don't have to fill the silence with words unless they want to talk about it. And then you listen with compassion because everybody grieves differently, right?
Mhm.
So it's just loving like the Savior did. What would he do? He had hard times, but he didn't come in all the time. I'm here to fix everything, right?
Mhm. I've kind of come to realize that oftentimes the things that I'm saying to people are because I don't want to feel uncomfortable, right? Like I'm trying to fill the void, or if I can say something that makes them feel better, then I won't have to feel sad about their sadness. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes total sense. I really
Yeah.
think that's a lot of what's going on, that
Yes.
people are trying to like fill that void.
Yes.
And as a teacher, I mean, I taught for lots of years. And I've taught in the church, but I taught professionally too. And so like I learned to get real comfortable with silence.
Yeah.
And so like that's just something you need to learn how to do. And because silence is okay if they're sitting there, if they're just sitting there holding your hand, or they're just sitting there with, you know, bring something. If you know they like to knit, bring over some yarn or something and sit there and knit with them. And so you're just doing something together and they don't feel alone. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can figure out what would this person, if this person doesn't want to talk, but they don't want to be alone, what could we do?
Mm-hmm.
That might help you fill that need for, you know.
Right. Yeah. So as a person who, like, I think it's good for us as individuals to recognize what is it that we feel like we have to do when we're in a setting, like in a situation where somebody we know might be struggling or somebody they love is struggling. Come to recognize what our go-to is and why. Why are we wanting to say or do, what we want to say or do? And can kind of just check that, right?
Yeah,
We need to be okay with being, it might feel uncomfortable on our part to just sit and be with them. But that is what compassion is. Compassion and Christ-like love is the ability, like you said in the story with Lazarus, it's the ability to sit with somebody in their grief, to sit with
mm-hmm.
somebody and witness their sadness, witness their grief, and and helping to carry, and in doing so, we're helping to carry their burden
Yeah,
because their
it
grief
does.
is a burden, right? Their grief is part of the burden.
It is. And so that's why presence is so important,
Mm.
right? That and presence is a hard thing for people. I mean, when we're alone in our own homes and we're not dealing with anything really hard, it's still hard for a lot of people to deal with this silence or the just being with ourselves. What should I do? I mean, like if you turn off all the devices and all of those things and you just be present in the moment, that's hard for people, a lot of people,
Mhm.
right? But that's what is most needed in things. Like I remember when my son had a suicide attempt and he was on a ventilator in the hospital. No one came. I was sitting in the hospital by myself that whole week, and he had court dates because he was an addict. So he had court dates coming up. And if you don't show up to court, you get like failure to appear, and it causes this whole like series of consequences that nobody wants. And he was on a ventilator. So I was on the phone while he was there struggling for his life, trying to call bondsmen and court people and everything to try and get them moved or, forestall the chance that they would say failure to appear. I just kept saying he's unable to appear, right? He's not failing to appear. And so anyway, it was hard. It was really hard. And like even my husband, he didn't like hospitals, so even he didn't show up. Like there was no one there. And I found it interesting that there was this woman at the college that was a dean, and she was the kind of person that most people avoided or we had to tiptoe around, because if you ever got on her bad side, then you were never on her good side again. And I was always on her good side, and I wanted to stay there. But she called while I was sitting there in the hospital, and she said, "Is anyone there sitting with you?" And I said, "No." And she goes, do you want me to come sit with you?" And I thought, well, I really appreciate that she thought to do that, because that would be nice, but not her. Like, because I knew then I would have to be on my guard, and I wasn't capable at that time of being on my guard. But just the fact that she offered that was huge, right? And it is really hard. And I think, and then when I got back, and he'd come off the ventilator and he'd survived, and he was at a behavioral health place the Relief Society president said to me, I just want you to know I was aware of what was going on, but I had to do triage. And for me, it would have been better if she hadn't said that. I know she was probably coming from a good place, wanting me to know that she wasn't unaware. But the fact that I was aware of other things that were going on in the ward, and the fact that my son being near death wasn't the highest priority or a higher priority than some of the other things that she was taking care of, that was painful. So sometimes the things that you think you want to say, like, think about it. How could this be interpreted by that person? Right?
Yeah. I'm curious what your thoughts are here, and I want to address this, I think, carefully because I don't want to pass judgment. But do you think if you're, and this isn't specific to your son's situation, but in any situation where people might perceive, and I don't know all the, well, I guess in this situation, your son had attempted suicide. So they might have perceived it as a self-inflicted thing that was happening to him, right? Like it was something that he did to himself, versus if somebody was in the hospital because they had had a heart attack. What would the perceived, do you think that would have been different? Would that have been different in the triage order of this person? Like I said, not to pass any judgment, but I think it's to bring awareness sometimes to where our brain falls.
And I hesitated even telling that story because I love that person. I didn't tell the story for judgment, but just for awareness.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. We talked a little bit before we started about this, but I have come to see that in the church, a lot of people tend to like look at suffering in two ways, like you just said. Did they cause this suffering themselves? Did they bring it on themselves through a choice they made? Or is it not because of a choice they made? Right? I mean, heart attacks could be choices that you made over time.
Right.
You know what I mean? But people don't see them that way. So, like, if they perceive that this is just something that happened to you, or this is something that you chose for you, I've noticed that people have different approaches, or they show up more for the things that just happened than the things that they think you caused yourself. Right?
Yeah.
And either way, if you attempt suicide, there's got to be a lot of pain in there, right? So if we can remember, well, wow, they must have been in so much pain, or, well, they wanted to die, right? There's a different, they were in so much pain. Or like with my son's addiction, well, he chooses to go use drugs, and that's true. And he chose the first time he used drugs, but I don't know a single soul who ever chose to use alcohol or drugs that said to themselves, I'm choosing to become an addict, or I'm choosing to become an alcoholic. They're choosing to either just have fun with their friends, to fit in, or because they don't know how else to cope with the pain they're experiencing. Right?
Yeah.
So whatever it is, it's suffering, it's pain, and they need love and compassion.
And that person who is the person who needs the love or the pain also has, or not needs the, let me start that over. The person who has the circumstance that is difficult in their life, whatever it might be, has loved ones. Like I think of you that's in the hospital there, right? Maybe somebody wasn't coming to visit your son, but surely somebody like coming to visit you is a different thing, right? If somebody needs to, for whatever reason, separate that and recognize that there are different people that are being affected by those circumstances, we can offer love and ministering to those people as well.
Yeah.
Because the lack of support for the person who has self-inflicted whatever it is also has an effect on their loved ones, and they didn't choose that, right? Like yours is not self-inflicted. That was
Um,
something. So I think we have to like take a look at the whole thing, the whole big picture.
yeah. I really started thinking about it a lot when I had a granddaughter that passed away of SIDS. So she was like just a month old. And I'd been through, my ex-husband had like pretty severe mental illness. He had multiple suicide attempts, one that landed him in a coma. He was in pretty bad shape. Um, you know, the issues with my son and all of those things that were going on. And I was caring for my mom who had MS in my home for 20 years. So I had a lot of things that I was carrying like alone.
Mhm.
And I just got used to doing it alone because people didn't show up because of the circumstances that were around me, the suicides, the mental illness, you know what I mean? And I understood it. I understood it. But then when this baby died and she was my granddaughter, everybody showed up. All of a sudden, I started getting flowers and cards, and people would like were showing up for me. And I didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, because you hadn't been doing anything. Like you've been doing it all alone.
Right. And I even said to my bishop, like, this is so nice that people are doing this, but I don't know what to do. And he said, well, just accept it. And I said, I'm trying,
Mhm.
but I'm just not used to it. Right. So it was really that after that, I thought, wow, this is what it's supposed to feel like, right? When people are there for you. Um, and a lot of times we think, well, we don't know what to say because we don't understand addiction or we don't understand mental illness or we don't understand why anyone would want to kill themselves or what caused them or and then you get judgment as a parent sometimes. I got judgment from church members all the time about my son's behaviors and none of that is supportive or helpful and I know it's human and I really I have so much compassion for people. I love them where they are, right? They just everybody's doing the best they can with what they've got in the moment, but we can like plan or think about how we can show up, how we can minister better. I mean, President Nelson has invited us into this ministering program instead of the old, home teaching and visiting teaching for a reason. Because as we get closer to the last days, there's going to be so much more that we need to show up for.
Mhm.
And, you know, and just go in with faith that the Lord's going to be there with you. Whenever two or more are gathered in his name, he's there, right? So you go in and let him do the work. And I really don't think you have to understand someone's suffering to walk with them through it. I don't think that you have to pretend it doesn't hurt. Faith doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. And a lot of times people think, well, I have to pretend like I'm strong because I have faith and I don't need help, right? It's from the other side. Like you should accept the help too. That faith doesn't mean that. It means I'm showing up anyway. Because love doesn't mean you rescue them, it just means presence.
Absolutely. I know we're not specifically talking about the church's ministering program, but
Right.
I have to kind of I don't know. I feel to share this. I know a lot of people who are like, why do we have to be given quote unquote assignments? Like I just want to be able to befriend who I want to befriend. And people struggle with having a ministering assignment or feeling like they're an assignment. And and I for sure don't fulfill, whatever ministering I have been given perfectly. I know that I don't. But I will say that part of my personality is not to just reach out. I'm not just a reach out and be friends with person because I kind of have this underlying belief that people don't really want to be friends with me. And I'm not sharing that as like oh, sob story. I just know that about my own personality, that that's kind of an underlying thing. And so, but when I'm told, when I'm given, hey, check up on this person, these are the people we would like you to check up on, it actually gives me a reason to
Yeah.
like put my discomfort aside, my discomfort of thinking that person won't want to be my friend. It gives me a reason to reach out and to create a friendship that I normally would not have. And I can get pretty emotional thinking about the friendships that I have created because someone was given to me as somebody to minister to. And there are people in my walk of life that would never have crossed my path because they're not in my walk of life, right? But I purposely sought them out because I was asked to. And those friendships have changed my life. And so I guess I just offer that because I would love for people to be able to look at ministering differently as rather than it being an assignment or something that I have to do, but an opportunity to create a friendship that you normally wouldn't have and to learn something from somebody that you normally wouldn't. Um,
Yeah.
I
I've
think
had
that's
those
been
experiences too. Like
so
I
sweet.
and they were times when, like when I was younger in the church and I had an older sister that came to visit me, and when she first came, I thought, what do we have in common? Well, now that I'm older, I know we have everything in common, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, because we don't change that much from when we're 20 to when we're whatever age, right?
yeah, yeah, we don't.
Um, and so, and I just loved her so much that when she moved, I cried, right?
Hmm.
Because she was so amazing. And I've had lots of good experiences like that. I have found that since they changed the program, that I do it differently, like because we always had like the message we had to give right before.
Yeah.
And now I just like, especially with this move, because I'm meeting new people as their ministering sister, and I'm like, okay, I'd get to know them a little bit, and then I'm like, okay, I just want to know what you want most from your ministering sister.
Hmm.
And they all said different things. And so it makes it so much easier because then, like, one wants me to share my books with her when I'm done reading them. And she also said her husband works 48 hours on or 72 hours. He's a firefighter. So he's on for
Okay.
like 3 days and off for days. And she just says, just babysitting? Like, sure. Like, I can do that. And I wouldn't have thought to babysit, just normally, but that's what she wanted. And I've done that for her. Or, someone else says, I just really like your visits. Just come visit with me. And like, they're all different, right?
Yeah,
And
it
it's
really is for the one, right? Like it is for the one person.
right. And you just need to be open and not flinch. Like sometimes we flinch in
Mm,
hard things, right?
yeah.
And I think that's because of that discomfort you were talking about earlier. We flinch. You don't need to flinch. You can
Mm,
just like, if someone shares hard truths about what they're going through and you can't possibly understand them, like an addiction relapse, a suicide attempt, or a full on suicide, um, just like sit with God and them and stay grounded and calm. That's the best thing you can do. Just
mhm.
love them. Just sit there and be grounded and mourn with them if that's what they need, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, Susan, thank you so much. This has been a tender conversation on many levels and really insightful, and I appreciate it. Before we leave, can you share with people? You shared us in the beginning your website, but just share with people how they can connect with you.
Yeah, it's also Susan A. Coaching on Instagram,
Okay.
or just Susan Achziger on Facebook. Um, and like I said, that you can get a free consult just to chat with me if you want.
Okay.
And you can link that through the website.
Awesome. Thank you.
Um, yeah,
I appreciate it.
thank
And
you. I
thank
always
you.
love our conversation.
Oh, I do too. It's so good. I always say my family's so grateful that I do this because I get to have the deep conversations that I love to have that my family doesn't.
And so you get it out elsewhere, huh?
Yes, I do. It's fantastic. So,
Yeah,
anyway, this has been great and I hope helpful and insightful for other people as well as they've listened, and I know it will be. So, thank you.
yeah. Simple things like texts too.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be hard. Like,
Yeah.
or just sitting by them at church. I mean, there's very simple things you can do that don't require anything extra really, except a couple of minutes,
Yeah.
right?
I love to send cards too. I know that's kind of old fashioned thing, but I
Oh,
love just to write a quick card to
I
somebody.
love to get cards too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's so fun to get something besides bills in the mail.
Yeah. And sometimes that just breaks the ice a little bit too. Like if you're feeling uncomfortable dressing somebody face to face, like just sending either a text or a card or something just lets them, like, it kind of opens the door for you to have a one-on-one conversation because it's kind of slowly breaking the ice there, letting them know that you're aware and that you love them. So
Yeah.
anyway,
That's meaningful, and that's all the text has to do. I
yeah,
try to actually, this is one tip I can give. I started learning all of this years ago when I decided I was going to start sending, think of one text during my or one person during my morning prayers that I could send a text to that day to just say, I'm thinking of you, have a good day, or like sometimes I'd get something else I should say, but like, and I would do that every day. And it created ripples
yeah,
that are unbelievable. And it's a very simple thing to do.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I love it. I love to hear all the ideas. Thank you so much. Thanks to our listeners, and we will see you guys again next time. Have a good one,
Thanks,
everybody.
Heather. Bye-bye.
Hey, we just wanted to thank you for spending part of your day here with us at Latter-day Life Coaches and being part of this conversation. Share this with your friends so that you can have a conversation with them on this topic as well. And as always, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Have a good one, my friends.